Hey guys, the Explorer 4 here, 4.465. Welcome back to some more videos. And today I wanted to do a live stream and talk about a subject that I'm sure people were wondering about in the horror community, or at least I was wondering about, because this is something that I've been wondering about for a little bit. And today I wanted to do a live subject that Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. I was actually muting the audio on the live stream because I have the live chat pulled up. So if you guys want to send me a message on the live chat, then you guys can do that. I don't know if you guys heard that real quick, but that was just the other video, the broadcast playing because I was trying to listen and look at the live chat. So whenever you guys ask any questions, the live chat will update and I'll answer them for you guys. But like I said, today we're going to be talking about a subject that I've been wondering about for a while, and this is something that in horror has gone down over the years, and that is what has ever happened to 3D horror films. Now, what I mean by that is 3D horror films used to be so fun to watch. My favorite 3D horror film is Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D. That is such a fun film to watch. Even in 3D, it's still fun to watch. And there have been, movies in the past that I heard were fun. Like, I heard that Jaws 3D is bad, but I heard that it was one of those so bad it's good movies. I heard Amityville 3D was, I've heard from some people it was bad. I've heard it was okay from some people. But back in the day, like, it used to be a fun thing. Like, 3D used to be a very fun thing. And even though maybe there were those 3D movies that seemed bad, it just felt like when it hit the 2010s, like 2009 at least, this wave of 3D movies, of 3D horror films were coming out. And most of them, if not all of them, I would say just most of them, because I think a couple of them actually in the list are okay. But none of these movies I'm about to mention are like spectacularly good or great horror films. They're just either they suck or they're okay. And that's why I'm asking this question, because I'm just wondering what happened to 3D horror films. Because you think about it, Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D. Some people say that it's one of the weaker ones of the franchise. Some say it's one of their favorite ones. Most of the feedback from that movie is positive. So yeah, I mean, it's just I really enjoyed that movie. It's my favorite 3D horror film, and I remember just watching that. I haven't seen Jaws 3D yet, but I definitely want to check it out because I heard it was so bad it's good. But it just made me think, like watching Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D, watching that and sort of thinking about this wave of horror film, which I got right here. These are just the ones that I have in my collection. Now, these waves of horror films include Silent Hill Revelation, Resident Evil Afterlife, Piranha 3D, Piranha 3 Double D. Ha! If you guys get that joke, then it's Piranha 3 Double D. That's the title of the film. Saw the Final Chapter, aka Saw 3D, aka Saw 7 the Final Chapter. So many titles for it. Just Saw the Final Chapter, but it was also known as Saw 3D. And Texas Massacre 3D or Texas 3D, My Bloody Valentine 3D, The Final Destination and Final Destination 5. That was also a big 3D film, but that's way up there on my shelf. And yeah, I mean, it's just, as you guys can tell, those are just the movies I own. And there's just a wave of these 3D horror films that it seemed like as soon as 2010 hit, or maybe a little bit before 2010. I think it was maybe like, I don't know, I would say My Bloody Valentine. I think this movie kicked off this 3D horror trend. And ever since then, we've been getting these 3D horror films that are just horrible. Stuff like Shark Night 3D. And just you can see a lot of these movies nowadays, like just, oh yeah, 3D horror film. A new 3D horror film. Like you got Final Destination in 3D. You got Texas Massacre in 3D, which is an okay film, but see, like, it's an okay movie, but it's not really one of the better ones. It's just an okay film. I'm a big fan of this franchise, but I'll be honest, this is one of the weaker ones. I don't hate it, but this is just one of those ones that I felt had a bit of problems. I thought it had some problems with it, but I do think it's an okay film. But you have so many big franchises that went 3D. Like you had Saw 3D, which sucks. You got Piranha 3D, which it's not great. Once again, it's not great, but as a time waster, as a meh movie for the gore effects that are there that aren't CG, it's a decent, okay time. But you see what I mean? Nothing spectacular. It's just an okay. So they're good. An okay movie. It's nothing really much to it. Then Resident Evil went 3D. Resident Evil Afterlife, which is horrendous. This movie freaking is awful. It sucks. And then Silent Hill went 3D with Silent Hill Revelation. You guys see what I mean? Like, most of these movies freaking suck. My Bloody Valentine, the 3D remake, once again, it's disappointing. I feel like it was very underwhelming, but it's okay for the practical effects and the death scenes. I can say that, but I just sort of was wanting to answer this question for anybody who was wondering this, and maybe just trying to answer this question for myself, because I've been asking myself since like 2011, like, why do they keep making these sucky 3D horror films that just are awful? The CGI effects are awful. And I'm going to try and answer the best way I can in this video, but this is my opinion, so if you guys have a different opinion on 3D, on newer 3D horror films, then that's totally fine. All I ask to keep respect in the comment section, and yeah, so it's just a problem with 3D horror films, I think nowadays, is that 3D does take a while to do. It's difficult to do because you have to have different camera angles, and it's a total different style of filmmaking. 3D, I know it is difficult to do. But the thing about these 3D horror films that I find to be really bad, which I just hold them in a freaking bundle here, but what's really bad about these movies is, first of all, 3D effects are not done well. They look like freaking cartoons. They look like a freaking Pixar animation, which does do some good animation, but in a real life movie, it doesn't transition well to a real life film with real actors and to have Pixar animation 3D effects. But I don't know, man. Usually in these movies, you have 3D effects that just go overboard. I think when it probably worked in theaters, but it didn't really work well when it went to regular film. Even though you can see this film in 3D, even though I have the glasses to this movie in 3D. I can't watch it in 3D, but actually I bought part 3 and it had the part 4 glasses in it, so I was like, all right, I'll put it in this case, but, I can't watch it in 3D. But even though you can see some of these movies, like I can see some of these movies in 3D, especially this. I can see this in 3D if I wanted to. I started watching it. Honestly, the 3D effects were okay, but not really that good. I thought that honestly, part 3 was much more. Part 3 was much more fun to watch in 3D than My Bloody Valentine 3D, the remake of My Bloody Valentine. Which, a lot of these sequels also just have unlikable characters and a story that is usually uninteresting. And there's a few movies I will say that there's a few movies that differ from that in this pile. I'm just saying, as a majority, most of the time, these 3D horror films that come out now, they're so focused on getting the 3D shots and the 3D animation that I think very little goes into the atmosphere, very little goes into the story and the characters. And it's more of just, okay, we're going to try and get some CGI gore in there. We'll put CGI 3D effects here. We'll put it there. And I just noticed that, films like this movie, hang on real quick, I got a notification on my computer, but this movie, this movie, this movie, and this movie. Now I'm Xing out these two because I think they actually have decent atmospheres. But this bundle of 3D movies, these are just the ones I own on DVD. There's much more out there. But these movies right here, you know, Saw 3D and Resident Evil 3D, these movies don't have atmosphere. And the thing about Saw is that in the beginning it had a great atmosphere, the gritty atmosphere, the dirtiness of the bathroom in that movie. It just had a great atmosphere. Then we get through some sequels, and some of them don't have the best atmospheres. Then you get to this film. This movie looks cheap. It looks like it was shot on a cheap set, and the filter they got for it looked awful. And this is just one of those movies that came out, and the hype of these 3D horror films. Same Resident Evil Afterlife. Most of the stuff is an obvious green screen that you can tell was CGI inputted into the movie and looks awful. So yeah, Resident Evil Afterlife. The reason I think that's a big reason why that's awful is because the CGI effects suck, the green screen effects suck. But you've also got this movie, Silent Revelation. Once again, the first half of the movie isn't even in Silent Hill. It's just her seeing flashes to Silent Hill. And then when she gets to Silent Hill, literally, you can see the green screen effect behind her. Like, it looks like she's standing right in front of a green screen. And that's what I mean. They focus so much on the 3D effects that they really don't try to put any effort into the atmosphere anymore. That so many of the effects are going to the 3D that it's just they're filtering out everything else. And I think you need to have, and for if you're watching this on a normal basis, just watching these movies, the 3D throws you off, at least for me. I don't know if it's a problem for you guys, but for me, seeing this awful 3D effect in a film on a regular viewing without the 3D effects and stuff, the 3D glasses and stuff on a regular viewing, to see a CGI gut or a CGI knife flying at the screen, to me, it's distracting. To me, it's annoying. To me, it's irritating because it takes you out of the movie because, like, oh, crap, throwing something at the camera now. But, yeah, like I said, just like, even My Bloody Valentine, the remake, I mean, it's okay, but it's got a horrible atmosphere. Same with this. And they just have cheap-looking atmospheres. At least these movies right here, you know, Piranha, these are just, honestly, these are the best ones in this bunch. I would even say these two movies are better than this movie, which I don't hate all the way. But, you know, these movies, I feel like they have more going for them. You know, this one, yes, it has horrible CGI 3D effects going right to the camera, but I will give it this. It has some pretty decent practical effects. You know, the piranhas are eating people. It's really gory and gruesome. I'll give it that. But it just, and also the atmosphere. I thought the atmosphere was pretty fun, you know, on the beach, and you really felt it was a beach party and these people on this yacht. This was one of the more better done, like, atmospheres to a 3D, like a newer 3D horror film. And this movie, I feel like it had a decent atmosphere as well. A very different atmosphere from the other Chainsaw movies, but I still felt that, you know, it had a unique atmosphere to it, at least in my opinion, it did. I know people hate this movie, and this movie gets like a 4.0 on IMDb. I'm a big fan of the franchise, and watching this movie, I feel like it's not that bad. I feel like it's kind of like an average horror film. To me, it's okay. It's a decent viewing, but is it anything too special? No. So, I mean, I'm a fan of the franchise, but honestly, Texas Chainsaw 3D is one of the worst ones. One of the more lower rated ones in the franchise. For me, it's not too great. It's not too great. But yeah, it's just the 3D effects in these films are not done well. At least with Friday the 3D or Part 3 in 3D. You had practical things going towards the camera. Yeah, you know, you could tell there was a wire here or a wire there. But for me, I don't know why, it just was more fun to watch it like that. It was more entertaining to watch it like that. And I guess 3D in film, even back in the day, you had some bad 3D stuff, like Amityville 3D, Jaws 3D. You had the segment in Freddy's Dead where it was 3D for a couple minutes. But even though it looks like it was pretty bad then, I feel like it's gotten worse now because these movies, as far as story goes, usually they don't really go too much anywhere with the story. There's nothing really too special to the story. There's nothing really too unique to the story. It's kind of basic. Um, the acting in the majority of these movies sucks. None of the effort into the cast at all. And hardly any of them have practical effects. Most of these movies, especially like Silent Hill Revelation, this movie has so much cheesy looking CGI that I swear I don't remember them using one practical effect in the film. And I'm being honest. I don't remember them using one practical effect. And if you're going to use CGI effects, you should balance it out. You shouldn't have the whole film CGI and it being bad CGI and stuff in CGI being thrown at the camera. Because for me, it's like I said, it's freaking It's freaking distracting. But also, it's just like with these movies, you know, you just have to have those elements to make a good horror film. Stuff like a well done atmosphere, a well done score, a just well done plot, an interesting plot. And it seems like most of these movies, it'd be fun to go see them in the theater. And oh cool, that limb flew out at the screen, the fire came out of the screen, the pickaxe came out of the screen. And then you watch it normally, you watch without the 3D effects, you watch it without the 3D glasses. Most of the time, it just looks awful. The atmosphere looks awful. There's nothing much too interesting going on, and that's I think a big reason why the majority of these 3D horror films that get released now are just horrible. They're awful. Some of the more worse horror films that get released now are the 3D horror films. The horror films are like, oh, come see this in 3D. You go watch it, and I mean, the 3D effects will be okay in the theater, but and I'll give you this. I'll give it this though. Star Wars episode episode 7. Star Wars episode 7, The Force Awakens. I seen that in theaters. I seen it in 3D. You want to know what the movie did right? It had a good atmosphere, had a good cast, had some really good ideas. Yeah, it kind of reminded me of episode 4. That's a big problem with some people, but honestly, I feel like that movie is a bit underrated because, some people were saying that movie is bad, but The Force Awakens was pretty good. And these CGI 3D effects were done well. I seen that in 3D. I seen Jurassic World in 3D. In my opinion, Jurassic World was one of the best from 2015. Love Jurassic World. And that did it well. If you're going to have 3D effects, don't do it to where it's so annoying. I don't know why the horror genre of today's horror genre can't grasp that. Whenever we get these new horror movies that, center around 3D effects, you just get this lazy atmosphere, this cast that looks like they're falling asleep, and a story that is just rushed or very lazily written. And half of the efforts of the film are just, okay, we gotta get this CGI shot here. We gotta get this CGI angle here. Oh yeah, we gotta make this CGI, gotta make that CGI. And just nowadays, it freaking sucks. And what I miss so much about 3D films, like 3D horror films and stuff, is that watching those older movies, it felt kind of fun to watch them. You were seeing something that was, not really brand new, but it was a fun, newer thing to slash around with time. And, going to the theater and seeing a 3D movie, it sounded like it was much more fun then than now, because now you go see a 3D horror film, it's like, yeah, the 3D was good, but the story sucked and the acting sucked and everything else pretty much sucked. So I think adding 3D to a horror film and centering on 3D, like, calling it Silent Hill Revelation 3D, Texas Chainsaw 3D, Saw 3D, aka Saw 7 The Final Chapter, Resident Evil Afterlife, Resident Evil 3D. They don't have it most of the time on these DVD covers, but like right here it'd be 3D, and then like right here they wouldn't show the Final Chapter part. It would just say Saw 3D. Like, I don't freaking get it. It's like they market it as like, and that's another thing that bugs me. The marketing is like, okay, we're gonna make it just called Resident Evil 3D, but then we're gonna call it Resident Evil Afterlife when it comes out. Same with like Saw the Final Chapter. When it came out, it was Saw 3D. Saw 3D. And I'm like, okay, is it a sequel? Is it a newer Saw movie that had nothing to do with the original? Or, like, what exactly is it? It's a 3D movie, but what is it? You know, you're not telling me much, you're just calling it Saw 3D. Texas Chainsaw 3D. I mean, is it a sequel? Is it not? And then when it came out, it was just called Texas Chainsaw. And for me, that title kind of seems weird. That's why I call it Texas Chainsaw 3D, because calling it Texas Chainsaw just kind of sounds weird. Silent Revelation, but when it came out, it was just Silent Hill 3D, or Silent Hill in 3D, or Silent Hill Revelation, but a big 3D in the poster. You see what I mean? It's just, most of these movies, when they're marketed, when they come out, they're just, you know, My Bloody Valentine 3D, which I can kind of see that being a remake. That's kind of obvious, but, you know, or, you know, The Final Destination in 3D. Even the title alone is like The Final Destination, so is it a sequel? Is it, what is this? I mean, what is it? That's sort of what I get from seeing these, you know, titles. Piranha 3D. Now it's just called Piranha. I mean, is it just me? Is it just me, or does it just seem like these 3D horror films don't have that much effort behind them? They don't. It's so lazy half the time, but you do get a few okay ones. I will say that. They're not all bad. You know, this was okay. It was all right. You know, big fan of this franchise. This was okay. Um, this one, I honestly think it's barely okay. This movie, I swear, if it had one more thing that had been wrong with it, I would have definitely ran on this movie, because it's one of those movies where it's right on the verge of being a bad movie, but then, like, at the same time, you got the gore effects, you got the fact that, you know, the 3D shots, I mean, some of them are in CGI, but they're not as annoying as the other movies I mentioned. And, you know, the guy who played Harry Warden did a good job, and the practical effects were great. That scenes were really good as well. But it still has problems. There's not much to the story, making it more of a serious, you know, toned down thriller. Just didn't really make it that great, in my opinion. I mean, the good thing with the original movie is it had that layer of a fun slasher film. Here, I got bored with it. This movie was kind of boring, I'll be honest. Kind of boring. It's like 103 minutes long. This doesn't need to be 103 minutes long. So, yeah, and most of these movies are boring. Most of these movies are uninteresting when you watch them in 2D. And it's because, like I said, they don't put effort into the atmospheres. They just put it all in the CGI effects. And they're like, okay, yeah, maybe that was a bad performance for this actor, but, you know, we're just going to release the movie anyway. Or maybe this shot wasn't that great, or maybe the atmosphere wasn't that good. But, you know, we already did the 3D effects. Let's just shoot it and move on. It just feels like that to me. To me, it feels like that. I don't know about you guys, but I just miss how. What's up, Rewind? How you doing, bro? I just miss how fun 3D effects used to be to watch. Like, you know, even back in the 2000s, you know, when a 3D movie came out, you went to go watch it. It was 3D, but it also had, you know, a good atmosphere. It also had good stories behind it. It didn't start to irritate me until like 2011, because 2009, what you had the My Bloody Valentine remake, you had the Final Destination. 2010, you had Resident Evil Afterlife and Soul Final Chapter, and I believe Piranha came out in 2010. Yeah, 2010, Piranha, which wasn't bad, but I was kind of disappointed with it. And same with My Bloody Valentine. I used to hate that movie, but, you know, and then around 2011, you know, you was hearing about plans for this movie, and, you know, it just felt like it was leaning too much on this 3D trend. And luckily right now it's sort of died down a little. You still get movies that are like 3D, this movie, go see it in 3D. And it's like, that's the use of the marketing most time with these movies is, yeah, it's Silent Hill in 3D or Resident Evil in 3D. Come see the movie because in 3D. It's like, no, you gotta have more than that. If you're gonna be a 3D horror film, you gotta make it 3D, but you can't focus all on the 3D effects. I'm sorry, you can't do that, because when you do that, you lose detail in the atmosphere, you lose detail in the story, and you lose detail in the acting. And those of you guys out there that know horror and are big horror fans, you guys know what I mean. Most of these 3D horror films that get released now are freaking terrible because it's not about the story. It's not about the atmosphere. It's not about any of that. It's about how many 3D effects can we get in here. How much we're gonna spend on this 3D effect, and how hard it will be to get this 3D angle in there. It's like, come on, man. Just focus on shooting the movie well, doing the effects well. If you're gonna have 3D effects, do like Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Do like Jurassic World. Do like Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Those were all well done 3D movies. But what I hate is just like I said, that they lean too much on the 3D aspect. They market it as, oh, you got to go see this movie because it's in 3D. It's in 3D. We really take that 3D element away from it and you release it on DVD. So it was Saw 3D, but okay, we're gonna release it on DVD. We gotta call it Saw the Final Chapter because we gotta let them know it's the final movie. And even the opening credits to this film is just called Saw 3D. It's not called Saw the Final Chapter. It's just called Saw 3D. And you see what I mean? It's just irritating to me. To me, it's irritating to see that because it's like, yeah, it's 3D, but I'm watching it in 2D. So then I'm seeing all these CGI effects and stuff. And yes, this is kind of like a rant video. It is kind of like a rant video, but something that bugs me. It's something that bugs me. I don't even know why I'm showing you guys DVD, but just something that bugs me about these 3D horror films is that they put so much effort into that, and you lose detail and stuff. You see, when you make a movie, you gotta focus on multiple things. You can't just focus on one thing. Okay, we're gonna focus on one thing: the acting. Your movie's gonna suck because it has a horrible atmosphere and it has a horrible story behind it because you were just like, okay, we don't care about the story, make up, a rush story, and we'll just go out with the shooting. Let's focus on the 3D aspect, 3D stuff. Let's make a 3D horror film because 3D is trending right now. You can't do that when it comes to film. You see, if you make a 3D horror film, there are 3D horror films that come out and they do it right. For me, I believe Conjuring 2 was marketed with, the 3D stuff, but it was well done. I didn't see it in 3D, but, it was well done. It didn't bother me as much as these movies. But there are certain horror films that come out, and these are just some examples. These are just some right here. These are just like pretty much the only bad 3D movies I got are these right here. You got much more than that. You got like the Last Witch Hunter, that movie Season of the Witch. I believe that was marketed. Oh yeah, Season of the Witch. Come and see it. A normal film, but then also said like 3D stuff. And I understand that most of the movies nowadays, pretty much all of them are marketed for 3D. But I can say honestly, man, I haven't seen Season of the Witch and I haven't seen Last Witch Hunter, but they didn't really look that good. I've heard they got bad reviews and bad ratings. But I will say this, I haven't seen them yet, so I cannot just look by its cover. Also, they're not really marketed as annoyingly as these movies. But so you X out those choices. But you still get some of those really bad ones like Shark Night 3D, Piranha 3 Double D, which is horrible. Just by the title alone, I mean, using that joke, and then the poster, and the trailer, and you got David Hasselhoff in it. I mean, if you've seen Piranha 3 Double D, you know what I mean. But it's a sequel to Piranha 3D, so they call it 3 Double D because it's a sequel. But there's also another meaning behind that Double D part. But it's just crappy. I mean, most of these movies right here, this is just a small little pile. These are just the small numbers of the bad 3D horror films that come out nowadays. If I had all of them, I probably would have a big stack of these 3D horror films that just come out, and it's more about the 3D aspect. Okay, let's shoot it in 3D, release it in 3D, and if you see it in 2D, then oh well, but we'll release it for 3D. And it just irritates me, and I just kind of miss how 3D used to be fun. I kind of miss how 3D used to be that with a horror film that were in 3D, you used to go and watch it for fun. It'd be a fun time. It'd be a fun watch. But no, nowadays you go see a 3D horror film, it's like, Yeah, I mean, the 3D was decent. It was cool to see a chancellor come out of the screen. It was cool to see an explosion happen out of the screen. But the story wasn't well done. The acting wasn't well done. The atmosphere, the CGI effects, those were all cheesy. Because, like I said, they take off all the focus on the story and they just and everything else, and they focus on 3D effects. But yeah, so what happened to 3D horror films? What happened? I don't know if it's because to market it for 3D because it was a big trend at the time. I know right now it's dying down, but the time 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, those were all big years for 3D horror films. It's like, oh, 3D, a new 3D horror film coming out this year. It's like, it got annoying. It got really annoying to see these movies come out. And most of these movies on this list I just showed you are either horrible garbage or they're okay, decent watches, but they're not anything too special. So yeah, I mean, this might be more of a shorter live stream than usual, but I want to see if we got any questions or anything so far. Nope, we still got just that one thing I entered for my friend Rewind. But yeah, anyways, guys, thanks for watching the video. This might be more of a shorter live stream than usual. I know they're usually longer than this, but that's pretty much what I gotta say about it is that most 3D horror films that come out now are awful and they suck. And it's because there's no effort put into them at all. And it's just really bad. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching the video. And I don't know if I'm gonna make any more videos tonight. I might make a video tomorrow. Um, actually, I might start my franchise reviews and the Child's Play franchise tomorrow. So I'll be starting out tomorrow. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching this quick little live stream. This is just something that bugged me about the horror genre nowadays. That you had all this big line of horror films come out that just primarily focused on the 3D aspect and lacked in everything else almost. Almost all of them did that. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching the video. I am the Explorer 4 465, and I'm out of here. Anyways, guys, see you guys later.